بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد عن عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من لزم الاستغفار جعل الله له من كل ضيق مخرجا ومن كل هم فرجا ورزقه من حيث لا يحتسب أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Respected and dear friends, in any trial, difficulty and hardship in life, there are two types of people. The people that are obedient slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, loyal to Allah, and on the other side, the ones that are evil and disobedient. Both may be suffering the same calamity. For example, this coronavirus. The disobedient, for him it is a punishment for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and generally speaking, this may very well be a punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala based upon the condition of the majority of us. And then there are some for whom it is a blessing in the sense that it is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after which inshaAllah al-Aziz they pass. Allah Azza wa Jal will elevate the ranks. And this is why in the hadith particularly that I stated before you, that istighfar, seeking forgiveness and repenting, brings about so much barakat and blessings. It cleanses the heart. Whenever someone sins, based upon in the light of a hadith, a black dot appears on his heart. When he does tawbah, that black patch or black dot disappears and his heart gets cleansed. Now, if someone does not repent, watches movies and doesn't think anything of it, listens to music, many people are like this, sinning day in, day out. They're oblivious to it, and a dark patch upon a dark patch keeps appearing on their spiritual heart until the whole heart is darkened. The person, this type of person seldom finds the tawfiq to do good, and his heart is not, or her heart is not inclined towards good. Rather, it is inclined towards evil. The person's heart is hardened. Any talk of haqq, of truth, the Quran, the hadith, the words of Allah and His Rasul, do not affect that heart. Whereas the heart that is polished, shined, and cleansed, any talk of the truth, the words of Allah and His Rasul, deeply penetrate that heart and enlightens the heart and encourages, attracts the heart towards goodness, towards the kalam of Allah and the words of the beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our Master Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And not only in terms of one's deen, in terms of one's dunya, he becomes blessed. And many times a person may be about to be afflicted with a calamity, and when he repents and does tawbah, Allah may uplift that calamity from him. And when someone returns to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in times of hardship, seeking Allah's forgiveness, especially before making dua, mentioning some kalimat of istighfar and tawbah, then Allah Azza wa Jal answers his dua and relieves him of that hardship. In a nutshell, istighfar in of itself relieves a person from hardships and difficulties, as is mentioned in the hadith on the authoritative our mother Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha, the wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, our master Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam is reported to have said, "Man lazim al-istighfar ja'ala Allahu lahu min kulli dhiqin makhraja." Whoever holds fast to istighfar, he makes this a ritual, a habit, and whenever he sins, whenever uh, he disobeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he recognizes it and he feels remorse in his heart. And with that remorse, he turns to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will find a way out of all hardships. وَمِن كُلِّ هَمٍّ فَرَجًا, and he will find expansion and relief from all anxieties. When one lifts his hands in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in remorse, a true believer, when he commits a sin, it's as if there is a mountain over his head that at any time will drop on him. He has that type of feeling in his heart. When he repents, seeks Allah's forgiveness, he is granted relief from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of all anxieties, his heart is relieved, and he comes to peace with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hence, istighfar is a means of attaining peace and the inner peace within oneself. وَمِن كُلِّ هَمٍّ فَرْجًا وَرَزَقَهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ, and he will receive sustenance from where he would not even have imagined that he would receive sustenance from unpredictable sources, from where he could not even imagine. Allah Azza wa Jal will sustain him. Allah Azza wa Jal puts barakah in one's rizq, in the rizq of one who always turns towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because this in of itself is a criterion between a disobedient servant of Allah and an obedient servant of Allah. The line between is istighfar, and in order to become obedient slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to have our in all trying times and tribulations, receiving elevation in ranks, we have to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, turning away from a life of sin, and make a firm intention never to commit that sin again, or whichever sin it may be that one is repenting from, in order to enter the category of the obedient servants of Allah. And whenever we commit a sin, we should always, in the first opportunity, turn towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and inshaAllah al-Aziz, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless us not only in the hereafter, in this life as well, with abundant barakat. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the tawfiq to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seek His forgiveness at any moment of disobedience or forgetfulness or negligence, by saying Astaghfirullah ta'ala Rabbi min kulli dhanbin wa atubu ilayh. Astaghfirullah ta'ala Rabbi min kulli dhanbin wa atubu ilayh. Repeating these words with the intention of istighfar, with remorse, that, O Allah, I seek your forgiveness and I repent to you, and from all my sins, min kulli dhanbin wa atubu ilayh, and I repent to you. And inshallah al-Aziz, just one moment of remorse, one moment of tawbah that enters one's heart, whether it's done from the heart or with the tongue, it doesn't matter. It is instrumental, and has the capability to wipe out all the sins of one's life, whether they may be as large as the mountains. It doesn't matter. Allah Azza wa Jall's mercy knows no bounds. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the tawfiq to practice. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك